I am good. Thank you so much for being here. At least the air conditioning is on here. We're not paying the electric for it, right?
I'll go low, you go high.
Pardon me?
That sounds like someone else. I'll take the low road, you take the high road.
You're not one of our speakers?
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
I've been following you now on this for 3.5 years.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Hey, how is everybody? I am so excited. When I came down that escalator and I saw all of you sitting there, I felt like shouting, yes, they showed up. They showed up. They showed up for themselves and for an issue, something that we care about and needs to be rectified. Well, good morning again, everyone. I'm State Senator Judy Schwank, and I represent the 11th Senatorial District in Berks County. And I'm proud, thank you. And I'm so proud to be joined here today by residents from manufactured home communities across the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. Many people may not be aware of a growing issue affecting Pennsylvania and states across the country. Manufactured home communities are being targeted by out-of-state investment firms that are interested in one thing: profit. These firms are dramatically raising lot rents while allowing services and upkeep in these communities to deteriorate. This practice is eroding one of the last remaining sources of truly affordable housing. You know, we talk a lot in this building about the affordable housing crisis. Well, this effort by private equity firms to buy up manufactured home communities and jack up the rates is critical, and it's often forgotten in this conversation. We have homes. We just want to keep them, right? But the good news is it doesn't have to be this way. You see the folks standing with me today? We have an opportunity to fight for them and empower their communities. We can enact common sense protections that ensure out-of-state firms don't price people out of their homes. Just a few weeks ago, the Pennsylvania House of Representatives took an important step by passing House Bill 1250, sponsored by Representative Liz Hanbidge, and you'll hear from her shortly. Thanks to her leadership, we now have an opportunity in the Senate to advance legislation that limits rent increases in manufactured home communities to a reasonable annual range tied to inflation. It prohibits hikes during unresolved health or safety violations, and empowers residents to challenge excessive or unjustified increases. We could, with hard work and advocacy, we could send this bill to the governor's desk, to Governor Shapiro, and we could get this passed and make it law. In fact, House Bill 1250 passed with bipartisan support in the House. So we know this is something we can get done. Today, I'm urging my colleagues in the Senate to take up House Bill 1250. I've also introduced two bills, Senate Bill 745 and Senate Bill 746, that would enact similar protections. But honestly, folks, I don't care how we get to the governor's desk. Let's just get there. Yes. Yes. Look, every Pennsylvanian deserves a safe and affordable place to call home. In the Senate, we have a clear choice. Do we stand with seniors, veterans, individuals with disabilities, and just everyday Pennsylvanians of any age who are working hard to make ends meet? Is that where we want to be? Is that what we're here for? Well, if we are, then let's not just sit back and allow private equity and out-of-state firms to take advantage of our constituents. I know where I stand, and I'm proud to be joined by the lawmakers who are on the right side of this issue. But let's be clear, it's not lawmakers that are powering this movement. It's the residents of these communities standing behind me. They're doing the hard work. They're doing the hard work of the advocacy, and we're going to keep this momentum going. But let me introduce some of the speakers that are here with us today, and you'll see this is a bipartisan effort. It's not just Democrats, Republicans, it's independents, it's folks of all political persuasions that care about housing and about this issue. And now I have the privilege of introducing one of the best advocates who basically got this movement started, and that's Bob Biesecker of the Coalition. Bob represents the Coalition of Manufactured Home Communities of Pennsylvania. Bob, please come to the podium.
Thank you, Senator. First, a few words about the Coalition of Manufactured Home Communities of Pennsylvania. We represent homeowners in communities from across the state and then reaching all the way north to Erie. We're all volunteers to the cause. Collectively, residents in these communities number in the thousands. And of course, some of them are here today. Hello. Please understand, we own our homes, but rent the land upon which they sit. These homeowners now require help that can only come out of this building. The out-of-state corporations and private equity firms who own land in these villages and parks are trying to convince legislators that they shouldn't do anything to interfere with the right of them to be able to do business in the state of Pennsylvania. These owners are saying they need to be protected. From who? From us? We are largely 60, 70, 80-year-olds sporting gray hair with a lot of canes and wheelchairs among us. No, it is we who must have the protection from them, the property owners. All we want is peace and protection, peace and tranquility in what will truly be our last shot at independent living. Make no mistake, property owners have rights, just as we homeowners have rights. But let's talk about the other side of that rights coin, and that's responsibility. One, there are 4 pillars. I'll go through them one by one. One, philanthropic responsibility. That can be as little as sponsoring neighborhood sports teams or providing support to community schools, being a responsible corporate citizen. But you see, the business model for private equity firms is not to give, but to take. So here, they fail miserably. 2, economic responsibility. They need to be profitable, and they are, extraordinarily so. In this case, without regard to who gets hurt and without regard to the long-term viabilities of the very properties they own. When they have wrung all the money they can out of the communities will be dumped and the private equity firms will move on to the next big score. So yes, here they are successful, they are profitable, brutally so. 3, legal responsibility. They must operate within the law. Here they are able to do so because the law governing them, Pennsylvania Act 261, written nearly 50 years ago in 1976, contains gaps big enough to drive an 18-wheeler through. Legislation is mandatory to bring the predatory corporations, the private equity firms, to heel. 4, ethical responsibility. Businesses must operate in a manner that is morally right and fair. People are losing their homes. People are not receiving proper nutrition nor medical attention. This is happening today in manufactured home communities across the state. See, it's quite simple. Exorbitant lot rents must be paid. Private equity firms can't even spell ethical, and they need protection from us? I don't think so. As dire as it may sound, and it is, I firmly believe with all my being that the bills sponsored by Senator Schwank and by Representative Hanbidge will continue their successful journey through this marvelous structure. Now that all the bills are in the Senate with the Urban Affairs and Housing Committee, I believe the learned senators will use their respective police powers to move legislation forward to put a stop to the madness.
Yes.
Yes.
Very important to us resident homeowners is that none of this proposed legislation requests a single dime from the taxpayers of this great Commonwealth. We do not want to be abused, but neither do we want to be a burden. It really comes down to the choice of supporting and protecting out-of-state corporations and private equity firms, or rather, the hundreds of thousands of elderly, widows, disabled persons, veterans, homeowners residing in the 2,288 manufactured home communities across the state. It really is not a difficult decision when you think about it. Does it? Does it sound like a difficult decision?
No.
Thank you.
Our advocacy leader, thank you, Bob. I am now going to call up one of our senators, Senator Tracy Pennycuck, who represents both Berks and Montgomery counties, and acknowledge that one of our other colleagues has joined us, Senator Amanda Capoletti. Senator Pennycuck.
Thank you. Many of our residents, particularly our older Pennsylvanians on a fixed income, have chosen to live in a manufactured home as an affordable way to have a nice place to live. But these communities are so much more than just housing. They're a place where our seniors can retire to and where families can find that sense of community. Unfortunately, like many forms of housing, we have seen the prices rise uncontrollably in these communities. While we need to find a solution in the housing affordability crisis, this legislation put forth by my colleague Senator Schwank is a really good starting point. And I want to thank Senator Schwank and Representative Hanbidge for bringing forth this legislation. It's no secret that over the past several years, the cost of housing in Pennsylvania has continued to climb, specifically in the Southeast region and the districts I represent. This is putting enormous pressure on working families, young people trying to buy their first home, and seniors who are hoping just to age in place and enjoy their retirement. But this pressure is placing undue stress on our seniors. Rising rents, unpredictable fees, and a lack of basic protections have left too many families vulnerable and uncertain about their future, and having to make the tough choice to buy medication or pay their lot fee. Everyone deserves peace of mind so that they can stay in their homes without being blindsided by a sudden rise in costs. By passing these bills, we send a clear message that Pennsylvania values its residents and is committed to keeping housing accessible for all. I look forward to working with Senator Schwank and Representative Hambidge on this important legislation to keep our seniors and our veterans and our young families in these great communities. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Senator Pennycuick. We really appreciate your support on this issue. You are the best group that I have stood in front of in terms of advocacy. You guys rock.
We have a plan and we are committed.
You are committed indeed. Next, I would like to introduce Dan Vitek. Dan is from the Community Justice Project. He'll come to the podium. Dan has been essential in helping to draft and to work on and do the research on initiatives that have been done in other states to protect homeowners. Dan?
Thank you, Senator. Again, my name's Dan Vitek. I'm a staff attorney with the Community Justice Project. We're a nonprofit or legal aid law firm that represents residents across Pennsylvania pro bono. And I've been a housing lawyer for over 15 years, representing residents in mobile home or manufactured home communities, enforcing their rights. Over the last several years, our office has been inundated with calls from residents who have had their park recently purchased by a private equity firm or an outside investor, taking it from a mom and pop community to one of these investor-owned communities, and they've seen their rents skyrocket. So when Bob and the coalition of manufactured home owners contacted us, I was very familiar with the problem that they were having. And they asked me to look into whether the legislature can come up with a solution under our state and federal constitutions. Having researched this issue, I can confidently say that a law that allows for reasonable rent increases covering the increase in operating costs and affording profitability for the owner, but protecting the homeowners in the communities from price gouging on lot rents is constitutional and is fully within the power of this legislature to act. Without a doubt, our federal and state constitutions protect the rights of property owners, but those rights are not absolute. The legislature has the power to regulate property ownership for the interest of the citizens of our state, to preserve their health and their welfare. In fact, in 1971, our state Supreme Court established that, quote, among the legislative objects of regulation of property for the general welfare is an adequate supply of safe and decent housing. After the court recognized this clear legislative purpose, the legislature did shortly thereafter act for the first time to protect residents and homeowners in manufactured home communities by passing the Manufactured Home Community Rights Act. That provided some protections and balanced the relationship between the owner of the land and the owners of the home in that community. But it did nothing to address radical rent increases. So let me be clear, there is no Pennsylvania court that has ever ruled that addressing radical rent changes through the law is unconstitutional. They've never done that. But our own Supreme Court of the United States has looked exactly at this issue and said that it is fully within the power of the legislature to regulate rents in order to preserve the community, to fight displacement from the community, and to protect its residents from price gouging. Now, right now in Pennsylvania, residents of manufactured home communities are facing an affordability crisis driven by private investors and private equity buying up these mom and pop parks and taking advantage of the unique situation that a mobile home or manufactured home community offers. I'll just point out two of those. One, mobile homes are not mobile. It costs approximately $10,000 on average for a manufactured home to be relocated. That creates a captive audience for the owner of the park. If a manufactured home has been located on the lot for a number of years, it most likely can't be moved at all. And so homeowners who are adding value to the park by having their homes located there, by maintaining their homes, by paying their lot rent, have no choice but to accept drastically increasing rents or leave the community and their homes behind. Another aspect that I think is important to understand is that the value of someone's manufactured home goes down when lot rent prices drastically increase. If a manufactured homeowner wants to sell their home, which I think most of us recognize is usually your most important asset, the buyer for that home is not going to pay full value when they're paying exorbitant rent increases on the lot rent. And so the owner of the manufactured home that has invested money and actual sweat equity in maintaining that home, making it a nice place to live, can't transfer that to the next buyer or to their family member at full value because of these drastically increasing rents. And so it is those unique circumstances to manufactured homes that create the need for legislative action to balance the relationship between the manufactured home community owners of the land and the manufactured community owners of the homes.
Yes.
Now, I just want to end on a quick personal note. Like I said, I've been a housing attorney for over 15 years. Like many small town lawyers, I'm getting lots of calls from people who are asking me what to do about these huge rent increases, 50, 60% rent increases. And I have to sit down with those clients, listen to their stories about how they can't afford to maintain their homes anymore, that they can't afford their other bills like utilities, that they're not going to be passing on their wealth to the next generation. And I have to tell them that without this legislation, there's nothing that I can do for them. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. And now our champion in the State House of Representatives, Representative Hanbidge, who successfully guided her legislation through the House, House Bill 1250.
My name is Liz Hanbidge, and I am the state rep for the 61st House District in Montgomery County. And I want to start by recognizing the people behind me. Your advocacy on this issue has been tremendous. We have heard from every corner of the Commonwealth. And your advocacy matters because you matter. This issue matters to the people that are watching at home, because I know that you've been following this issue because you've been reaching out to me about it. Your advocacy has been so instrumental. Do not give up. Keep the pressure on at the Senate. They need to hear from you. Earlier this month, in a bipartisan fashion, the Pennsylvania House took decisive actions to protect residents living in Pennsylvania's manufactured home communities. We did so because we know how imperative it is to protect the over 55,000 households in the Commonwealth that are manufactured homes. Manufactured homes are a critical part of Pennsylvania's affordable housing market. They're not a niche issue. They're not a side conversation. They are home to tens of thousands of working families, retirees, veterans, people on fixed incomes, real Pennsylvanians living in real communities. And most of them own those homes. They paid for them, they maintain them, they raised their families in them, and they chose to live in these communities. But here's the problem. While they own their home, they do not own the land on which it sits, and this makes them vulnerable. These homes are not mobile. That's an antiquated concept. These homes are set on permanent foundations, connected to utilities, and impossible, if not extremely costly, to move. And more importantly, these people don't want to move. These are their homes. Unfortunately, some are being forced out. Right now in Pennsylvania, there are no limits, none, on how much a landowner can raise lot rent. And bad actors are taking advantage of this. Private equity firms, investment groups, and absentee landlords are buying these communities. When they do, they raise the rent. Sometimes by 67%, 85%, 100 or more percent. Sometimes these extreme rent increases happen year after year. The families living there, they're stuck. They either pay up or they lose everything. I've heard from many seniors, veterans, first-time homeowners, people with disabilities who have been subject to such lot and rent increases. Some of them have told me that they are forced to make choices between affording lot rent, food, or essential medications. That's not fair, it's not sustainable, and it's not how we treat homeowners in this Commonwealth. That's why I introduced House Bill 1250. Yes, landowners can raise rent, but it must be reasonable, transparent, and it must be tied to real cost. HB 1250 caps lot rent increases to match the Consumer Price Index, something grounded in the actual economic data. It gives residents notice, it gives residents rights, and most importantly, it gives them peace of mind. It puts basic guardrails in place to protect people who've done everything right, but are still being priced out of their homes. This is not just a housing issue. It's a matter of fairness, dignity, and protecting Pennsylvanians from exploitation. Manufactured homeowners are being pushed out of the communities they helped build, and without HB 1250, this trend will accelerate. Here's the good news. The House passed HB 1250 on June 10th with bipartisan support. We said enough is enough. We will protect these communities. So now it's the Senate's turn, and I know that Senator Schwenk has been a wonderful advocate in this fight for many years. If you believe in affordable housing, to my Senate colleagues, vote for this bill. If you believe in property rights, vote for this bill. If you believe in protecting Pennsylvanians from predatory practices, vote for this bill. Because at the end of the day, this is about one simple thing. Every Pennsylvanian deserves a fair chance to stay in the home they've worked so hard to own. Let's do the right thing, Senate, and pass House Bill 1250 to protect the people we were elected to serve.
You got it. Your voices are carrying up to the Senate chamber. They hear you. Now, my good friend is our next and our final speaker before I wrap things up. And Representative Dan Wuhl stood up on the House floor and talked about this legislation. Didn't have to, because he'll tell you why. He has a strong vested interest in what happens here, and he's on the right side of the issue. Representative Moe, Adams County, our great champion there, please come to the podium and talk.
Yes. Yes.
You guys are applauding. You haven't even heard my speech yet. First of all, thank you for what you're doing, Liz, Judy. Thank you for your leadership on this issue. I'm kind of the oddball here. I'm supposed to be the guy on the other side of this issue because I'm a park owner. However, 30 years ago, plus, kind of giving away my age there, I built my mobile home community, now called Manufactured Home Community. I hate it when somebody says, oh, you own a trailer park. No, I don't own a damn trailer park. I own a manufactured home community. They're decent homes and decent people. Hardworking people, retired people. Unfortunately, at one time I had a whole park full of little ones running around. People moved in young. The parents stayed, the kids grew up and moved away, and I'm left with a park full of older people, most of them now retired. And they're living on fixed incomes.
Yes.
And I see what's happening to parks all around me. And in one sense, how do you tell somebody that owns an investment to turn down 50% more than what his investment's worth? And that's what these private equity firms are doing, and they're buying up everything around me. If they were to buy my park, which they're not going to, by the way, just to put that out there. I guarantee you they would come in, because I have a pretty daggone nice park. You know, 36-foot wide streets, sidewalks throughout, 2-car parking pads, everybody's lamppost. I did it right. They would raise the rent by at least $300 to $400 a month almost overnight. I have very reasonable rent, I know. But that's what parks are renting for, spaces are renting for around me now. And I think it's just downright despicable. The big difference is here, these people who are making these decisions with their white shirts on, sitting in these ivory towers in New York City, Chicago, and Los Angeles, never have to look you in the face. All you are is a number on a piece of paper. And they're looking to make profit for their investors. So they really don't care. You don't live there because you're wealthy. You live there because that's what you can afford.
Right.
And these people are going to squeeze every nickel out of you that they can. I liken this to the hurricane came through and it wiped every business out except one gas station. And all of a sudden that gas station says, wow, instead of my gas being $3 a gallon, now it's $9 a gallon. And we call that gouging. And there's laws on the books to protect you from that. This law will help protect you from that. I will finish my short speech with this. And this was said earlier, and I couldn't concur more. It's our job as legislators to protect you.
Yes.
That's our job. It's not to protect these very wealthy private equity firms. They have their rights, but they don't have the right to trample on your rights. And you should have rights as homeowners that are basically trapped there because, again, it was said earlier, you just can't pick that home up and move it anywhere. That's your home, that's your investment, and it should be protected, and we should protect you. So thank you for allowing me to share a little bit of time and allowing me to let you know where I stand on this issue. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Mao. It couldn't have been said better. So here we are. Here we are. We're about to start session up in the Senate chamber. There is legislation teed up. Representative Hanbidge has done. House Bill 1250, that could go through the Housing and Urban Affairs Committee. When that committee meets, they could actually bring up this bill. So here's what you need to do now. It's great to come here. It's great to hold a sign. It's great to clap. Your energy and enthusiasm inspires me. Now, take that to your state senators. Write to Senator Picozzi, who is the chair of that committee. Let them, I'm not just calling them out to be cruel. This needs to happen. At risk here is the roof over your head. We have to be sure that we continue to take action to make sure that we can get this passed. As it's said too, it doesn't cost the state anything to do this, and it is about protecting people. You have worked hard all your lives, the people behind me. You deserve this. You deserve to have the dignity of remaining in your home at an affordable price so that you can live a life at peace. Let's get this done. We need your help. Let's get to work. Thank you.